Yes, I can hear you.
There we
Hello.
go. Very nice to meet you. Thank you for being gracious enough to
Nice to
want to
meet
come
you.
on our program and talk to our community. So I'd like to start with finding out what attracted people to the trading business and, what your first intro into the trading business was, Kim. Have you been doing this something you always wanted to do, something you just fell upon, or did you have influencers that showed you the way, and after you did it for a while, you couldn't stop?
Well, a combination of all of those.
Okay.
First of all, thank you very much for having me on the show. I have always been interested in the stock market since I was a teenager. And so
Okay.
I used to look up the ticker symbols when we had newspapers,
Right.
and I would watch stocks move, and you didn't get real time data at that time. And I just enjoyed, like, back then it would have been Nordstrom, and I think Costco was just starting, and Microsoft. And then from there, being a woman in trading there, and I live in Washington State, there weren't a lot of pathways, but I
Okay.
always was invested. So I would invest, a certain amount of my checks and every single month, and just really believe, and buy Money Magazine. And then
Okay.
fast forward, my husband was a floor trader. He was on the CME,
Oh,
traded for, yeah, S&P futures for Bear Stearns,
okay.
the defunct Bear
What
Stearns,
years? Yeah, what years was he on the floor? Do you remember?
late 80s until
Okay.
the 2002.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, that's a nice stint. And that was the most
20
active bid
years.
on
He
the
was there 20
floor.
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he
There's
ever have
the
any?
stories.
Yeah. How about, did he have any out trades that he had to deal with during his career? I mean, some people lost their seats over out trades. You know what they are, right? Where,
Well, he worked. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
okay, he was just an order filler or he traded along. He traded his own account, but he also held a deck for Bear Stearns. Is that what he did?
No, he was their managing director for S&P
Oh,
futures.
oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
So he was working for the bank. He wasn't trading his own money. So,
Okay.
but
Do you go ahead?
he had major client, Bear Stearns had huge
Yeah.
accounts back then. And
Yeah.
so he was there when the S&P futures trading basically started.
Okay.
So, and I mean, the stories that you hear of the floor traders, they're so fantastical.
Yeah. I had a seat that gave me trading privileges in S&Ps. It was the IOM division, index options market. So, what a great place to learn. So, were you picking his brain, and he brought work home? And
Yeah.
congratulations
So,
on staying together. It's floor traders have one of the highest divorce rates in of any occupation.
well, I knew him then, but we didn't get together till after he was off the floor. He was in
Okay,
Chicago. I'm in Washington State.
right.
So, however, at the same time, I do pick his brain all the time. He's amazing at charts. Floor traders, they have a feel for the market. They can tell, whether that market's extended. Even with
Yeah,
his charts, he's like, put three NQs on short now. you know.
right. Okay.
So, but my personal, but also being a floor trader, you see a lot of, like, really bad stuff go on, meaning people losing millions and millions and millions of dollars. So he
Yeah.
always has that caution. And that's how he was trading his accounts. And I had my own accounts. And so, anyway, in 2017, we were working with one of our stockbroker friends, and he's like, Kimberly, you're good enough to start taking part of this account over. I really want to mentor you. And, and I, feeling like I didn't, like, have an education in finance, but I have an education in psychology. I'm a university professor, and I'm also a mental health therapist. You kind of, there's two sides of the coin. And so in
Yes.
2018, I just fully took one of our accounts over. And one of the main reasons is, I think it was that December, the market really started crashing at that point. It wasn't a crash, but you
Yeah.
remember that December where it went down dramatically.
Oh,
And
that's when Paul did a reverse. Once he held hands with Yellen and Bernanke, they sang
yeah,
"Kumbaya," and he said, "Okay, that was it. He was wrong, tightening that last tightening." And Kramer went crazy like usual, and he reversed
yeah.
course. Okay, yes, I do remember.
And Mike Centinelli, I think, was on the floor screaming about it. I always enjoy
Uh,
watching him.
oh yeah,
And
yeah,
so at that point, I'm like, there's got to be a way to hedge my, I was trading my own account. There has to be a way to hedge this. And the broker we were using didn't really use options. And, Mark uses futures, but, you know, anyway, so I just started looking at ways to hedge my account. And that was really what brought me into the options
okay, all
and
right,
futures. So I do both of them. So then I'm not a full-time trader, but I manage my trading account. And so when I mean I'm not full-time, I do trade every day or I'm engaged in the market every day, but it's not my full-time job. I
okay.
don't know that I would want it as my full-time job.
Are you still, that explains to me why, I went to your stream and you were talking about, market trading psychology. And I
Yeah.
think it's all in our heads. And we bring our
Yes.
paradigms that were developed when we were, 8 years old to the table in trading, depending upon your background. I could give an example that one of my trading weaknesses was coming out of winners too soon, because in my childhood, money was scarce. So to see a
Mm-hmm.
profit and risk a profit was difficult for me. You
Mm-hmm.
could have the best system in the world, and if your head isn't right, it's not going to matter. Is that what you've discovered with yourself and other people?
Yeah, very much so. And I grew up much the same way that you did. So I didn't grow up, I grew up with a single mom with four
Yeah,
kids. So money was
same thing
scarce.
here. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
so, but also I have a value for money, right? So, like, if I'm losing $200, even in my account, I don't like that. And at the same
yeah.
time, you're right. Like, I've struggled with, especially when it's options. Stocks, I more am able to just let them ride. But with options or futures, I struggled to kind of let them ride and take the profits too quickly. And so that's what I've really, and that's why I don't like day trading. I really like swing trading, because swing trading to me gives me more time. It allows me to sit in a trade longer, and you have to know your style. I'm too, like, I'm too quick and I need to slow down, and swing trading allows me to slow down.
Okay, let me ask you about options and how you use them to hedge. Do you uh, buy a lot of time when you're hedging your portfolio? Because I used to have a cynical view that options are like relationships, 90% of them expire worthless. All
Yep.
right. And maybe that's why you're quick to the exit, is because I
Yeah.
know I have statements I could paper the wall with of options that went worthless because I didn't have the
Mm-hmm.
discipline to get out. And I say, well, what the heck? Maybe it'll be a Lazarus, you know, come back
Yeah.
from the dead, right? So, and also, I've been told by guys that use them, don't be a hero with your strikes. A lot of people like to really kind of leverage it and look for moves that rarely occur. And they go
Right.
so deep out of the money that it's really not much of a hedge for them. So tell us how you structure a hedge.
So I, if I'm doing a true hedge against stocks that I own, I'm selling covered calls. And I
Okay,
usually go to the 0.25 or 0.30 delta. And I'm typically going about 30 days out. If earnings is coming, I might go closer, date expiry wise, because you usually get higher premium.
right.
And also, though, sometimes what I'll do, and I just did this with Google this week or last week, I put a hedge wrapper on. Google was kind of topping out. It wasn't getting the same bids as the rest of the tech stocks. So I sold calls and then I bought puts. So I paid for the trade.
Okay,
And I
that's like
did
a
that.
risk reversal, isn't it? When you
There's the formal name that I call it a head dropper, but
okay, it's yeah, that's interesting. Okay,
it's like
all
a
right,
little
but
present when, the stock's going down, I'm still making money.
right, okay, interesting. So do you hang out? I saw on your profile Tasty Trade. Are you a fan, or are you part of what they do, or what?
I love them. I did an article for them in their Luckbox magazine as the featured trader of the month. The
Oh,
thing I
cool,
love
Kim.
about them, I've just met so many, in this business, obviously you can meet people that are maybe don't have the best intentions, and it's any business, but I think
Yeah,
sometimes with trading and being on Twitter, and the people at Tasty Trade and also Black Box Stocks, I use a lot of their options tools. They are so real. Like Tom, Tony Batista, Tom
yeah,
Sosanoff,
Tony.
but
Yeah,
the main reason why I joined is because as a woman, I was feeling isolated. There was nobody that was a mom that, that I knew that traded, right? And I'm getting all this input from all these guys with real great information, but like my priorities and how I wanted to trade felt a little bit different. And so Liz and Jenny of the Tasty Trade show, that's why I even
okay.
got on Twitter. They have a show and they talk about their kids and they trade and they're badass traders, right? They were on the
Yeah.
options trading floor. And so that was my first tweet was, happy Mother's Day, Liz and Jenny. I joined Twitter because of you. And so that really gave me like this camaraderie of
Yeah.
you can be a mom, you can trade, you can, do really well.
Well, the Bible labels wisdom she, gives it a feminine,
There you go.
right? So,
Yep.
you guys bring that to the table, and I've met a lot, and I've also talked to a lot of women that are traders that felt like you did, and I see them forming communities and supporting each other and cracking glass ceilings, and talking to you, it wouldn't matter your gender. I can tell after 5 minutes if somebody knows that they know. I know that they know. And
Hmm.
so Michelle Schneider, I
Oh, I
see
love
you found.
Mish is my heart.
Yeah.
We've had the opportunity to get together. We do
Wow.
spaces.
Uh-huh.
We're on the same
Yeah.
spaces. She's come to Seattle a couple of times, and she just came a couple of months ago. And I mean, she knows her stuff. And Mark and I have
She
went out with
does.
her and her husband.
Yeah.
And I admire her, and to be a woman on the floor back in those days, to be anyone on the floor, only, Mark has said only 5% ever made it.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
to be
she
a
had a
woman on the floor
bonus.
that has
She found a husband on the Conex
10.
floor,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that was maybe her best trade on the floor.
Yeah.
What do you
They've
think?
been married a long time. I think
Yeah, so I
so.
mean that they took long-term call options. They're in leaps with each other. So do you have a narrative that you work with, Kim? Do you have a view on the market, a view on rates and the dollar, or are you more stock picking, um, specific with your
No,
style?
I mean, I love research. Like I said, I teach, I've taught statistics at the college level. And that's, I love to do research. And right now I'm doing a lot of research, looking up peer-reviewed research articles on psychology and trading. So I love the macro. I look at the interest rates every single day.
Right.
I mean, I definitely follow them, watching that 2% go back up again, get to like 4.7, I think it recently got to, and it moved
Yeah.
fast. It was trading
Yeah.
like a meme stock,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And the dollar I don't pay as much attention to. I do look at it, because I try to look at all the different inputs, because I think that trading is context too. It's not just looking at one stock or, one option strategy. I try to employ a lot of different options and market strategies. And I think that's taking in all the data pieces. Sometimes it can be too much, and then I have a husband who is, particularly sometimes gets bearish. So I have to, we're a good balance. I'm like, no,
Okay.
it's time to get long.
And what do you think now
And
after the tremendous move we've had? S&P's trading around, a little under 4,400. We've come off a little. There's been talk about a put call ratio. We're moving
being the
the
highest,
greedometer. Yeah,
yeah,
greedometer. Does that make you cautious on this market here?
for
That it's
sure.
all
So
tech?
right now, yes, and I'm really heavy tech in my trading account. I mean, my biggest position is Costco, but then I have a lot of tech. So I actually have started a short position in futures, and I'm using MNQ so I can scale in easier.
Yeah,
The thing about, obviously, as you know, the futures, the NQ moves so fast, and I like to be able to sit in a trade if I need
yeah.
to and
Is that
not
a mini
worry about it.
contract? Mini
That's
contract on
the
it?
that's the micro,
Micro. Okay. Okay.
the micro. And I look at the overall deltas of my portfolio. So I kind of know where I'm comfortable with the deltas for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And so I will move them, I'll open them up and let them run higher, or then I'll start closing them down. So when I'm using short options against my stock or short futures, I'm also looking at my delta. And
Okay.
so I widen that or I squeeze that down, and I use those different strategies to do that. But I'm also long white RTY. So I'm, that
That's a
hasn't ran as
Russell.
much. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the Russell futures. And I
Yeah.
just know, like, you can get really hammered being short because the market can keep running. And that's obviously happened to me. So I
Yeah.
wanted to go long the index that hasn't had the same alpha, so to
Right.
speak, or the same boost
Right.
up.
Yeah.
And so I haven't offset it one for one, but as the market's going up, I'm making gains. And then I also trade around that short position. So like when we got the big drop down, I didn't want to take it all off, but I took a couple off. And then when it moves back up, add a couple back on. Like I said, I'm looking at my overall deltas.
Okay.
So
What's your,
expanding it.
do
And I
you have
do
a
use,
view? Do you have a view on Apple? I'm short underwater. What would you tell me to do?
you're short underwater.
I'm short and underwater in Apple. What should I do, Kim?
Well, personally, the
Yeah.
fact that it's reaching all-time highs, if
Yeah.
you're short on if you were short the options, or are you short the stock?
Long puts out into December.
You're keep it
Okay.
and roll them up, roll
Right.
them, roll. I mean, the thing is, Apple didn't get that move down, right?
Right.
So if I was long puts to December, depending on what the strike was, I
Yeah.
might strangle it. So I might sell a call against it,
Okay. Yeah.
because
Okay.
then
That's great advice.
sometimes I use, go ahead.
That's great advice on the fly. Because,
Yeah,
people, when they're in trouble on a trade, what should I do, Dale? And I go, well, what was your plan? Where are you
yeah,
wrong?
yeah,
Isn't that really, what it's
yeah,
all about? Knowing where you're
yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
Ever decide not to forget where you were wrong? And do you stop loss orders on any of your trades?
yeah, for
You
sure.
do?
I don't
Okay.
do it. I don't do it on most of the hedges because I'm long stocks.
Right.
So it just, like, right now I have a Super Bowl trade on Tesla. So I'm short the put,
Right.
like at about 2:30, and I'm long on the call option, right? So I basically
Yeah.
paid for that trade.
Yeah.
And I have a stop loss on that.
Okay.
Just because Tesla can move like crazy, and I don't want that. I mean, the risk is I'm going to own Tesla at 2:30, right? But I
Right.
still have a stop loss on it. So, but
Okay.
I do look at the option flow, and there's been a lot of bullish calls on it. But what the biggest thing is don't size too big,
Yes.
where you can't, I've been sized too big being short before the actual mini NQs.
Yes. Yeah.
And I like to sleep at night.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I'd like to ask you why you're on social media. Do you have a business model? Are you looking to trade OPM? I know you have accounts that you're already busy with, or you just like being out there and sharing and having the interaction with people, and
Yeah,
that's why you're on.
I love the interaction. Like I said, I was looking for people to build community with, because trading can get very isolating.
Yeah.
And the wonderful thing about Twitter is I've met so many amazing people that I've met in person. As far as a business right now, my first goal is, I am finishing my licensure for my, counseling, and then I want to apply that to trading.
Okay. Yeah, there are a lot
You
of
know,
yeah, a few women that specialize in the psychology of trading. Forgot her name. Denise.
yes, that
You know who
Mish
I'm
talks
talking?
about her. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I
So
don't personally know her, but yes,
yeah.
I've heard that she's wonderful.
So you're going to have a
Eh,
bunch of traders on your couch down the road and trying trying to get to the bottom of it. I think that as a someone in the market, in some ways we all are psychologists on ourselves, and
yeah,
if we teach, um, we have to teach the psychology of one of my maxims is our pros know how to lose, so they have money left to be right with. So
I love that. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah, to teach
Yeah.
people to
Eh,
know how to lose.
Well, you brought the best point up in the beginning when you said that you bring yourself to the market, your childhood with you. I mean,
Yeah,
you
everything.
explained a really good, and the thing is, you know, I most of my clients are in tech, so I like high level thinkers. So for me, it's not about looking at, you know, people that have serious mental illness. I'm more looking at people that are struggling with their everyday, like, how do I be a good manager? How do I motivate my employees? And then applying that to trading, how do I get myself out of the equation so that, like, for my weakness, I'm able to write a trade out.
Yes.
And,
Oh,
a lot of that is just changing the way that you're thinking of it, changing, like you brought up paradigm, changing my worldview.
right.
What lens am I looking through this at, right? If I'm
Okay.
looking at it to get rich quick, chances are I'm going to
It'll
lose all my
blow up.
money,
Yeah.
right?
Did that ever happen to you?
No, but I don't risk like that. I mean,
Okay.
I
I
I
mean, it
keep I
usually
have
happens to
long
people at the beginning.
I mean, I've
Uh,
had bad trades that I didn't
yeah.
like. I remember
Okay.
one bad trade I had was I didn't really understand selling options at the time, and I'm just like, I'm going to sell 10 calls against Facebook. And
Yeah.
some new, like it was short dated, and some news came out and I was down 10,000 in. I mean, that was a really good lesson for me.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, I'm always long stocks. I'm a long-term investor. So, like I said, my trading is swing, but I'm also long-term invested in the market. So it's hard to blow up if you have your long-term positions. And I don't margin. So I guess,
Okay.
you kind of margin when you're using the futures. I mean, but I don't use margin. So I use everything cash secured. Um, and so
Okay.
I'm not saying I wouldn't ever blow up. I just don't trade that way.
All right. Well,
But
you may
yeah,
not
I've
blow
had
up.
rough times.
All
I've
right.
had
A
rough
great
times.
segue. I want to know what your self-talk is during a drawdown.
During a drawdown,
Yeah.
honestly, it is walking away from the screen,
Beautiful.
because staring at that screen gets in your head, right? it's booking. I'm not really giving you good self-talk points though, but for me, it's booking green. So
Oh.
if usually I have some trade short, right? Because I live with a ex, futures trader. I have to
why
have
are we
shorts
all
on. I have
bears?
to have shorts on. If I
Why
don't have
are
shorts on,
yeah, we're so
if
cynical.
I don't,
And
I
anyway,
have to. It's just the way that I like. That's the
yeah,
way it works for us. I
he's
need to have
lucky
some
he
shorts
has
on.
you, especially in the last couple months.
Oh
uh,
my goodness.
yeah,
And we do have this thing. I'm like, let me manage it.
yeah, huh?
Give me the charts, let me manage it. But on those days it is booking that green, right? So
Right,
instead of looking at my total profit loss, and especially because I'm long-term trader, it's not like I'm going to lose it in a day, right?
right,
And I
right.
have really good growth stocks, and they always invest in the best companies. So yes, there were big drawdowns, but at the same time, if I'm booking green, I would say last COVID,
That's pretty
the
good.
weird thing about COVID was, I don't know why, but I was net short with all my puts, and I really did well in COVID. The hard year for me was last year because you kept
Yeah,
thinking it was going to end, right?
right.
And when it goes
Yeah,
on and on and on and on, and there's no like bounce, we really didn't get a bounce except for that March and
yes,
June of 2021. And so I think that was the mental grading. And I will say at that time, that's where having somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, having some, Mark kept telling me, get long, which he doesn't usually do. So when he's saying, like, I was already long, but he was like, take cash, invest it, start buying these stocks, right? Because
yeah.
when you're in the throes of it, you kind of think it's never
You
going
get
to end, even
paralyzed.
though I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, you get paralyzed. So Kim, it was really interesting talking to you, and you've survived an interview with me. You're now my trading mortar sister. So I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
coming on, and would like to talk to you again. Why don't we leave it with, are you a believer we're in a new bull market?
I don't
Your
really like to
husband's
do
not
bull.
around. He's not around right now. You could,
No, he just walked out.
okay.
um, he thinks we're extended, but he knows enough to know that markets can be irrational. I don't
Yeah,
really like to do the bull or the bear side because
right,
I think then that gets me trading way too bullish or way too bearish, right?
right, right.
So I think it honestly just depends on what the Fed does, what
Yeah,
the economy is going to do. Personally, I don't think we're going to all-time highs this year, and I don't think that we're going to hit the lows that we had before. I think we're going
in
to keep
October.
range bound
Okay.
unless some global risk event happens, which you
Like what almost
don't know.
happened last weekend.
Right, right,
Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and
Well,
I will
Kip,
tell you,
go ahead.
that
No.
event, Mark, I wanted to get short, and Mark was like, "Don't do it."
Yeah.
So that was
Some,
really good.
some of our best trades are the ones that we don't take, and avoiding losing trades does not show up on your P&L, but it certainly is almost as important as being in good trades.
Yep,
Avoiding the bad ones. It was a pleasure meeting you, Kim, and
it was such a
I'm,
pleasure. Thank you
yeah,
so much.
I'm rooting for you. Have a great trading summer, and maybe we could catch up in the fall.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much
Uh,
for having me on.
all right, and you could follow Kim at Mama Vester,
Yes.
Momma Vester, Vestor. Say hello to Kim. Say you saw her, and I think she's out there to interact. So take advantage of that. She's a pro, and
Thank you.
appreciate meeting you. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. You too. Bye
All
bye.
right. So that's a wrap, everybody. You could join the team in 15 minutes on the Morning Edge. And I'll see you guys tomorrow to wrap up the week. Good hunting, and don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Adios. I need a haircut.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.